you know that when parents are asked what they would do if they had 1 extra hour every day, most parents say they would use it for sleep? Are you exhausted trying to balance kids, work, and play? Do you want more purpose and less monotony in your life? Do you get overly irritated, frustrated, and angry with your children? If you've answered yes to some of these questions, then I'm glad you're here. I know how busy you are, and I'm not here to take your time. I'm here to help you take it back. Close your windows, open your mind, and let's kick some ass. Welcome back, friends, to Kick-Ass Dad's 15 Minutes of Fame. So, welcome back. I will break from my pirate accent to have a conversation. Today I want to talk a little bit about, and this is something that I had a buddy listen to one of my first podcasts, and it came off to him as a little hippie, little on the feminine side, really focused on feelings and really talking about clearing yourself of feelings. And I just wanted to kind of address this issue because I think men have a hard time with it. For me, growing up as a man, I have been taught from day one to kind of suppress my feelings, and it's very, very difficult because we all have feelings, right? Men and women, we both have feelings. It's not something that is not true. Can women be more sensitive? Sure, yes, of course. Okay, no, obviously, but what I want to get at, and here's what I really want to dial in on. There are plenty of women who suppress feelings, and there are plenty of men who suppress feelings. It's not healthy in the long term. And what it does is it creates blocks in your emotions, and it creates a sense of feeling stopped up. And what happens is, what do we do when we're feeling all these emotions? Like, let's say we're pissed off or angry or somebody screwed us, right? What do? We run out and we numb ourselves. So I, growing up as a young man and not being really taught how to face my emotions, and certainly don't blame anybody, but it's, we are, this is the human race we're talking about, and we have perpetuated these gender bias for a very, very long time. So for me, I was never taught really how to manage my feelings. And it wasn't until later in life that I was able to find ways. I started studying psychology, philosophy, started, studying Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible. I was studying anything I get my hands on because I was trying to figure out why I wasn't fulfilled. What was blocking me up? And, I found some personal development systems, and I worked through those, listening to Tony Robbins and some other guys. I went into the Avatar program, which is where I got a lot of processes and techniques to help me kind of pull the shit out of the way, the stuff that's blocking me up and make me feel bad, because what I was doing is I was self-destructing, right? So I was spending my time and energy when I didn't feel good or something went wrong, and I would just completely numb myself with alcohol, drugs, whatever was available for me to use. I would use it in order to suppress, right? I was going to suppress those emotions because I wasn't taught how to deal with them, and I'd rather feel good, right? We all want to feel good, but we're unwilling to feel the bad. And so much in life is about working through things. And even like, for example, anger, this is probably one of the only emotions that is acceptable for men to feel. I think we're allowed to feel love too, I think. So I'm told. I think you're allowed to love your wife and you're allowed to love your kids, but I think that's about it. But what I've seen over time is that this is so destructive for men, and we suppress these emotions, and women too, man. There are women out there who, have not been taught how to deal with their emotions, and I certainly think it's prevalent in both men and women, but men especially, where that's gay or this is that. It's like, anything that can be construed as emotional or having a heart and a soul, we automatically, just start throwing out, and we start attacking each other as men. And women have even got in the game now where it's like, the women are like, oh, what a sissy. And it's funny because it's so important for both men and women. I think what happens is women, are losing that a little bit in modern society too. They're losing kind of their identity as well. And I think feminism is a very good thing when it comes to equality and empowerment, right? But to say that men and women are exactly the same, I think is a mistake. We all have, our brains are built slightly differently, not better or worse, just wired. We're wired a little bit differently, and there's certain studies you can look at where, for example, men, when men are mapping something, they see it in terms of north and south, whereas women use illustrations or like road signs, or excuse me, not road signs, but like they'll know where something is based on a visual cue, like it's to the right of that McDonald's or whatever it is. And we kind of think a little bit differently because we're wired a little bit differently. And I think we need to embrace that. That's okay. But what we can't do is create this, gender inequality either. We've got to treat each other. For me personally, this is just my personal belief, but I do believe, we have souls, and I do believe in each of us we have that masculine and we have that feminine. We have that, tough, testosterone-driven, hunter-gatherer, hardwired into us, and then we also have that vulnerability. And I think in men, it's been absolutely squashed, and we're taught to ridicule and make fun of one another for having an emotion other than anger and love for your wife and kids. I think it's important for us to recognize if we ever want to be our best self, we've got to understand that there's a time and a place to let your emotions go. For me, I'm a history buff. I love, how America was formed. There are parts of it that break my heart. The Native Americans, how they were removed from this country, and slavery, and so there are a lot of things this country is built on that just break my heart. But at the end of the day, I'm passionate about our Constitution, and I'm passionate about our democracy, and I think these are all important things. And we've created one of the best democracies that has ever existed, and it's important that we find ways to preserve these things. So I'm passionate about these things, but I'll go to Disney, I'll go to Epcot, and we'll do the Hall of Presidents, and literally I will cry because I'm so passionate about it. And does that make me, why does that make me less of a man? I just don't get it. So what I really want to try to emulate is that every single day we've got, we always talk about choice, and we have a choice. And I think that, as a father now, having girls of my own and seeing the amount of derogatory things, about women, and I have been I'm not absolving myself from anything. I have been right there with the locker room talking, dirty about, women. And I understand where that comes from in men. It comes from, we have this testosterone, we're driven, and it's like we've got this gorilla mentality, and we're just beating our chest and talking about our sexual conquest, and it's fun for men. We enjoy it. I think where it breaks down is that men, some men who say those things, they don't realize the effect on other men who do not have a good social understanding of how to treat a woman, and we make it okay. We make it okay to talk trashy about women, and say that they're only good for one thing, and that's sex, and that is just absolutely absurd. I mean, I have been married for quite a long time, and I know that a human being is a human being, and we're multifaceted, and you've got to be able to find that the miracle in each other and the divinity in each other, and that grows, and it just makes for such a more rich and fulfilling relationship. And, we grow up with this locker room talk, and we never get rid of it. And I think that is natural or normal, but I don't think it's necessarily natural. I think that we're all, I think it's part of it is that we don't all know how to create great relationships, and we all screw up, and we think we don't understand the opposite sex, and we try to analyze and do all these different things to get the opposite sex. But at the end of the day, we go, okay, well, I don't get it, so screw it, and that's it. So I'm here today trying to, make it okay, first of all, for men to feel their feelings, right? It's super scary. Oh, you got to feel your feelings. Do you want to be a whole person? That's what you got to ask yourself at the end of the day. Am I willing to step outside of my comfort zone to be a whole person? Or would I prefer to live the rest of my life and lie on my deathbed going, wow, I really didn't create the relationships I wanted. I really didn't create the environments that I wanted. I didn't take the time to, really make my family the most important thing, to create a family, to put as much love into the world as I could have. And is that what you want to be? I mean, think about that. Take a second and think, okay, am I willing to face emotions? Am I willing to have emotions? Or am I going to be on my deathbed and go, my relationship sucked, my life sucked, and I'm pretty pissed off I wasted all my years on this planet, not being my best and not being willing to face my emotions. Because if you push them down, you push your emotions down, you push them down, you push them down, you don't face them, you don't deal with them, you numb yourself to them, and you're making yourself smaller, and at the end of the day, you're not able to influence anything in life. And you put yourself in this tiny little shell, in this tiny little bubble, and you're not able to grow as a human being. And I think that's such a shame, because I know so many guys who have so much potential, but they just push themselves into these tiny little holes, and they don't understand why they're so angry all the time, and why they're, so they transform all these other emotions and they push them down, and all they're allowed to experience is anger, and then they're angry all the time, and they wonder why they don't create great relationships in their lives. And these are things that I'm just finally able to understand and articulate. And I think that it starts with today. It starts with the first step and going, you know what, you got to put a bunch of pain against it. You got to go, okay, am I willing to be that guy on his deathbed? Think about that for a second. Am I willing to be that guy on his deathbed that's going, man, I really blew it, right? Or do we want to take this shot in this life, in this moment, and evolve ourselves in a way that says, you know what, no, I'm gonna open myself up, because I got emotions. I know they're there. And be willing to experience those. And you know what happens, guys? They move through you and you're done, right? So if you're willing to be a little more vulnerable, just a little bit every day, you can't change the world in a day. I suggest you don't try, because what happens is you fail, you get frustrated, and you quit. So I always suggest to people, yes, take massive action in your life. Take massive action, but take it in tiny baby steps, right? So manageable, achievable, and what does that do? That creates the belief in yourself that you can achieve goals. And one of the things that fascinates me about personal development is that I have the ability to create a goal, a big, hairy, audacious goal, right? That in my past I thought I'd never be able to accomplish. But I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to make this big, hairy, audacious goal, and then I'm going to take baby steps to get there. I'm going to do, 1, 2, 3 things. I'm going to write down my goal. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 things every day, little things to get me there. And by doing so, you're actually training the brain to believe that it can be successful. So you're actually creating, because you're going, oh, wow, today I set a goal and I did 3 things today to get me to that goal. It wasn't hard, but you're training the brain to believe it's doable, and you get these small little successes. So you start getting all these small little successes, and you're going bam, 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 and you get through it. And it's funny because I was reading a study about how simple list making, and then the act of checking something off your list actually releases dopamine into the brain, which causes pleasure, right? So if we're setting these goals, if we're going, okay, so this episode is about, gender bias and men, putting the brakes on and thinking about their wives and their daughters and their children, their girls, and treating women better because they love those family members so much, and their sisters and their mothers, treating women better for their sake, right? That's the first thing. And the second thing is, as a man, being willing to face your emotions and have emotions and letting them come through you so that you can be a whole freaking person, a real human being who's not angry all the time and frustrated and irritated and, pissed off. That's the goal here. So the goal is not to demasculate you. The goal is to get you to a point where you can have more energy, more love, more passion in your life. And the way to do that is to be willing to experience your emotions. And then the third point is taking that learning and that lesson and applying it with a little bit of self-development and goal setting, writing down a goal, so specific to this, I'm going to be, whatever your goal is, being more open to your emotions or whatever it is, write it down and then take 3 little steps. One step, do one every day. And, tell your wife you love her or get her some flowers or do something, or the next time that you feel upset and you don't want to talk about your feelings to your wife, just do it anyway. Do it anyway. You have no idea what honest, communication about your feelings can do for your relationship. You're investing in each other. You're allowing your spouse in to invest in you so that you can be a better person. You can be more supportive of each other instead of, so many couples I hear, like nitpicking at each other. And the reason that I believe this happens so much is because they're not being honest and open with each other, and they're allowing their relationship to deteriorate to nagging. And I'm sure as a psychologist, just sitting in a room and listening to couple after couple after couple after couple come in and say, he doesn't listen to me, he never talks, he doesn't talk, she doesn't listen to me, he doesn't talk, she doesn't listen to me, and you're going, oh my God, you people. And what happens is we're all these awesome people and we just shut down. And it's so sad because I see so many great people that could have such great relationships, but they're unwilling to invest the time in themselves with the right amount of honesty to help each other and to create that great relationship. And I truly believe that it's possible. I'm over my 15 minutes, so I'm going to stop ranting at you. But please go to iTunes, give us a review if you have something you want to hear about or discuss or talk about. I'm interested in doing interviews, so get engaged. Go to the website, www.kickassdadblog.com. Get engaged. Start the conversation. Get in the conversation with me. I'm not a preacher. I want to hear your thoughts. All right. Have a kick-ass day. Bye.